Um, my favorite opinion writer at the Times, Jennifer Rubin, or is she at the Post? I guess she's at the Post. Hard to keep the two newspapers of record apart. Um, and Rubin makes a good point. Too much time has been spent on Joe Biden. I'm so fucking sick of hearing Joe Biden. I got sick of him during the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas hearings. When was that? Huh? Back in Bush 1, wasn't it? I mean, Joe, go do something else, okay? You have an Ice Cube's chance in hell of getting elected. Oh, you can get the nomination, but you're not going to get elected. Go away, Joe, please. Anyway, media have been trying to decide whether Biden is too old to run for president. And they're not considering whether Trump is. Biden is svelte. He's in good shape. He's vigorous. Trump is a large lump of coagulated body fat, cheeseburgers and French fries. He's a mess. But why not focus on Trump? In the past 24 hours, Trump, who will be 74 in November of 2020, according to his aides, he's tired. He's tired. The fuck is he tired from? Any crises he's had to deal with are crises that he has come up with. But he falsely declared multiple times that his father was born in Germany. He declared that wind turbines cause cancer. He confused the word origins and oranges. He asked reporters to look into the oranges of the Mueller report. The oranges. And he told Republicans to be more paranoid about vote counting. As Jennifer Rubin writes, he is increasingly incoherent. And the Washington Post quotes him, I guess Rubin's at the Post, yeah. The Post quotes him at a Republican event last week. He said this, quote, "We're going into the war with some socialist. It looks like the only sort of, heavy socialist is being taken care of pretty well by the socialists. They got to him, our former vice president. I was going to call him. I don't know him well. I was going to say, 'Welcome to the world, Joe.' Are you having a good time?" He went on. Now you look at that presidential announcement speech, and you see what's happening, and that speech was so tame compared to what is happening now. That trek up is one of the great treacherous treks anywhere, and Mexico has now, because they don't want the border closed. Rubin writes, "I don't presume to diagnose him or to render judgment on his health. All of us, however, should evaluate his words and his actions, and that's no shit. If you had a relative who spoke like that, you would urge him to get checked out or to slow down. You can't tell Trump to slow down. The fucker's already on dead stop about 20 hours a day. Executive time. But you have to remember that someone who talks like this, and I know this has become a cliche, but it's very true. Someone who talks like this and conducts himself like this is the guy who holds the nuclear codes. Now, I said early on, I'm thoroughly convinced that the military establishment in this country, not the diplomatic, but the military establishment, would not allow this psycho fucker to take the country to whatever it's called now, DEFCON 5, and start launching nuclear bombs. It'll never happen. And Rubin goes a little bit deeper here. Even Republicans realize that his decisions are more erratic and illogical than ever. For example, he doubled down on his intention to invalidate the Affordable Care Act in the courts. And then he insisted he had a terrific replacement. He then said he would assign others to figure out what the replacement would be and take a vote before the 2020 election. And finally declared that they would vote on such a non-existent bill after the 2020 election. Even the turtle fucker who runs the Senate, Mitch McConnell, had to stage an intervention and tell him there would be no vote before 2020. I suppose if the court strikes down Obamacare before 2020, the turtle would tell upwards of 40 million people covered one way or the other by either Obamacare or an aspect of Obamacare to fend for themselves. And even after declaring an emergency, remember his emergency declaration? And robbing the Pentagon budget to pay for his wall? He declares that we're at a breaking point now and the border has to be closed. What happened to the wall, asshole? Now he wants the border closed. Which is a shock to his aides because they know you can't close a 2,000-mile border. And every time Trump opens his mouth, he increases the number of people who get into panic mode to start coming this way. We're at the highest rate of people attempting to cross the Mexico-U.S. border right now than we have been in, I think I read, 12 years. 100,000 people were stopped in March. Trump is causing, this is what these writers point out, these political writers, what they're pointing out. Trump creates this chaos. And the rest of us just run around screaming about what he's doing, almost giving it credence that it's going to work, but it's against the law, when it's not working. It's getting worse every time this bloated fucker opens his mouth. Rubin says, collectively, we need to stop treating his conduct as normal. Politicians should start saying aloud what we all intuitively understand. Trump is unraveling before our eyes. There's reason to be concerned about how he'll make it through the rest of his term. Giving him another 4 years is unimaginable. And I think you and I know that. Trump is not going to be reelected. He isn't. But once that sinks into his hamburger fat encrusted brain, he's going to go fucking nuts. And he's going to try, well, I mean, he's already going crazy, but I mean it in a more pejorative sense. He will start doing shit designed to throw the entire country into chaos. We think this is chaos now. Hey, Truth Seekers, Mike Malloy here on the Progressive Voices Network. We've got a deal for you. You can now subscribe to our new 1-hour audio-video combination Malloycast for only $29 a year. But you have to act fast. This deal ends on tax day, April 15th. Since we're without any business managers now, 100% of your support goes directly to maintaining our nightly campfire. Visit MikeMalloy.com to renew or to subscribe. And thank you for all the ways you keep it lit.